Hey everyone, this is our weekly recap where we are going to go over what happened last week, how the markets moved, and what are some of the setups for next week. So this is our second weekly recap, and let's just start. So we have the stock market summary dashboard open. We can see that on Friday the markets rallied quite well. For SPY we went from 413 to 417, and similarly for QQQ and IWM we sort of went up quite a lot. IWM was the leader on Friday, and overall we moved, on average, we moved about 1.5% across market indices. So that was really good. Energy was the hottest sector. Friday was a good day, but overall the week was slightly red last week because we had, I believe, 3 red days and then two huge green days. Growth stocks moved up a lot in those 2 days, but then they also went down the remaining 3 days. So it was a slightly choppy week. There was no clear trend. So let's see what we're going to do next week. What are some of the setups? Quickly looking at some largest block trades to see if something pops up here. VFC, sure, let's take a look at it later on. But other than that, there is no ticker here that I'm familiar with, so I'll just skip that. Then again, as you can see that on Friday, all sectors were positive. For the next few days, SPY looks okay in terms of what our AI thinks. QQQ looks really good, and IWM looks a little bit choppy. So when you have these bearish predictions with low probability, that just means that we might have choppy price action instead of actually going down a lot. But I'll expect some upward movements, at least in QQQ. Let's see if we have any large insider transactions. No, so that's it from the market dashboard. Let's actually just dive into charts and see what's going on. So I have the SPY chart open here. Let's see what's happening with SPY. So we had let's actually, all right, I was just trying to anchor the vwap. So we had an anchored vwap support here. You can see that we actually respected the support and we went above it. We had a 20 moving average support as the 50 moving average support as well. So for SPY, last week we went towards the 50 moving average, and then we finally started going up again. And this is again another really excellent point that I should make here is that one rule, especially if you're new, that you have to remember is that things always come back to their moving averages. You should always look at moving averages as magnets. You can see that every single time SPY goes up, it actually comes back to its moving averages. This is good. Now we had two decent candles, but you'll see one thing that you'll see here is on this red candle, the volume was a lot higher than the volume on these green candles. I never like this. So whenever I'm seeing higher volume on red candles versus lower volume on green candles, I don't like the price action. The same thing happened with Bitcoin actually today, where we had a pretty big dip. And that happened because in the last few days, whenever selling occurred, the volume was higher. Whenever buying occurred, like whenever we had green candles, the volume was slightly low. So I don't like this, to be honest, but we have a resistance somewhere around here. So let's actually wait for this level to cross if you want to go along SPY. But before that, I don't think there is a setup here. We had some sort of a resistance here as well. So we are still in choppy waters right now, so there is no clear trend. Obviously, if you look at the long-term trend, you're going to say that long-term we are in an uptrend, obviously, but short-term I'm not seeing anything. Like, I'm not seeing a clear setup until we actually either cross this line or we actually go below the 50 moving average. So just keep that in mind. Let's quickly draw the SL lines using our algorithm, and we can see that this was a beautiful line. So we don't have any sort of clear line above, which is why it's not drawing it. So there is no strong resistance line, but still these were slightly weaker candles. You can see we went up, but we actually went down by the end of the day. Same happened here as well. So I'm leaning slightly bearish. I'd still expect some choppiness in the market, especially for SPY, but let's see what happens next week. Let's quickly go to QQQ. I'll just draw the trend line. We have two here, and then the remaining ones are down. So a great thing would be for us to actually go down to the support and then start to go up. But you can see here as well that we actually respected the anchor. We did go below it for 2 days, but now we are above it again. But again, a concerning thing here is we do have the support level pretty loose, not a really good resistance level. Sorry, this is the resistance level, and we can see that right now we are below both the 50 and 20 moving averages, and that's never good, especially when you're in an uptrend and you keep going below these 20 and 50 moving averages. That just means you are continuously breaking the trend. So again, I don't like that. Let's try to change the moving average from 50 to 100, and let's see where we are Okay, so this is good. So although we went below the 50 moving average, we did not go below the 100 moving average here, which is good. So I'll keep an eye on this 100 moving average line, because that's what we seem to be. Look at this. We respected it here as well. Here. So for QQQ, it seems like we are always respecting the 100 EMA instead of the 50 EMA. Different stocks or different indices work with different kinds of technical analysis, so keep that in mind. So I'll hopefully sort of keep an eye on this line. If we dip here again, then I'd want to buy, because maybe we go up from there. But other than that, yeah, I think we are right in the middle of this, let's say, level, and then probably, so now the support is here actually. So I'll wait for us to fall back here before I actually sort of we have a bullish setup, because we are on a support, we probably go up. But if we actually break the support and start going down, then we'll probably want to exit as well. But again, look at here. The reason I'm saying that I'm not seeing any clear sort of trends or any clear bullish or bearish setups there is that, look at this candle. This was a huge green candle, but look at the volume. The volume was lower. Look at the candle next to it. The volume was so high. So you can see that whenever there is a red candle, the volume is much higher than whenever we have a green candle, and I do not like that. I think that shows weakness in the markets, and I think that's very concerning. So if you're really bullish, just keep an eye on these things, because the volume tells you a lot of things. So for market indices, at least for SPY and QQQ, I'm not seeing any clear bullish patterns or any clear bullish movements happening soon. So that's just what I think. I can be totally wrong, but that's just my thought process. So I wanted to share it with everyone. Then we have IWMM, and for here again, I'm going to change the moving average to 100 actually, because it seems like with these indices, we are respecting the 100 moving average in a much better way than we are the 50 moving average. So this actually looks good. You can see that although the volume was high here, the volume was also high here, also high here. So this is much better than SPY and QQQ in my opinion, because these green candles are also pretty good. So you can see low volume on this huge red candle, but very high volume here, and then we had some low volume. So here I think this is much better. Like, to be, in my opinion, I think this index has a much better bullish setup right now than the other two. Let's quickly draw the support and lines. So look at this. So this was also a beautiful line. So this last week would have been a perfect setup. Maybe these two candles. I think we are still sort of very close to this. So slightly longer term swing setup here would be to just go bullish and probably wait until we hit this resistance line. Again, this looks much better. Maybe we come back down, but just keep one thing in mind, is that since we have hit this support level 3 times, if we keep hitting it again and again, then it is going to eventually break. So when it breaks, then there is a clear bearish setup, because we have broken a very long-term support line, and whenever we do that, then that line becomes a strong resistance line. So a really good setup there would be to just buy puts, because you can assume that now we are going to go down with some momentum and speed. So right now it looks like a decent bullish setup, but if we cross this line, then we are going to have a really strong bearish setup. So that's it for the market summaries. Let's actually try to go into some stocks and see what are some of the setups for next week. So I'm going to go over our options dashboard. I want to see how things were going on the option side. So let's just take a look at some stocks from the top bullish and bearish flow on the option side, and let's see what's going on the price action side. So Tesla had the highest sort of net premiums, but you can see that the difference between calls and put premiums, 177 versus 135, it's not very significant. So it didn't really have the highest sort of top bullish flow. It's just that the net premium, since that's what we calculate these on, the net premiums are just high. So let's see Tesla. So Tesla is not looking good. So for Tesla, let's see if the algorithm draws this. Okay, it draws it. So I was going to draw this line, because you can see that for Tesla, we have hit the same line 1, 2, 3 maybe, and then 4 times. And again, the point here is, again, if you keep hitting a level again and again, then eventually it is going to break. And you see the next support level is right around here. So at about 450. So we are at 571 right now. Right now, like at this very sort of a moment, we have a bullish setup, because we have just hit a support level. The moving averages are far off right now, so we'll probably we won't, like, there is no guarantee, but we can probably go up from here, maybe hit the moving averages again and then go back. But right now, at least in short term, we have a decent bullish setup because we have actually been respecting these support levels. So you can see, hit the support level, go up, hit the support level, go up, hit the support level, hopefully we go up again. So short term there is a decent bullish setup, but longer term, especially if we break this line, then we are going from, let's say, 550 to about 440 450. So if that happens, just buy puts. That's just an excellent setup right there. But what you can do, since so many of these price actions and so many of these charts are not sort of presenting a clear bullish or bearish setup, I want to talk about levels and when a setup is going to appear. So that's why I create these videos. These are not sort of just direct setups for you to enter and exit right away. These are setups that might happen in a day or two, or maybe in a week or two. So just keep that in mind. Set up your alerts in with whatever software you use, and whenever the setup is there, then you go in. You don't just go in randomly. Alright, so we have two setups for Tesla, both a bearish and bullish one. Let's see for Facebook. So for Facebook, let's just draw these lines. So we are on a resistance line. Keep that in mind. So what I'll do is I'll probably wait until we actually cross this resistance line before I go in. But Facebook has a lot of strength right now. You can see that the relative strength here is pretty high. We've gone from 265 to about 316. So that's good. 315. That's good. But since we have a resistance line right at the price we are at right now, let's wait before we sort of cross this resistance line. We had a gap that we filled. We had a gap here that we filled. Another good point to remember here is that whenever these gaps happen, markets always like filling these gaps. You can see that we filled it right away. And where did we fell on? We fell on the, where did we fall on? We fell on the 20 EMA, 50 EMA. My bad. Alright, so let's wait for at least this price to break before we actually go in. In terms of the bearish setup, since this has so much strength, I wouldn't go bearish here, to be honest. Let's do Apple and this. Apple very choppy for the last few months actually. So I don't think I have any setup here. There is this trend line that's there. I think it has been forming for quite a while. So maybe, and I think this trend line might also be visible using the 100 EMA. Not really. So this is again very choppy. This was decent price action, but now I am not seeing anything. I said the same thing when we were here, and people thought that no way, you are just sort of flying. There are some clear setups on the chart. If I am not seeing any setup and you are, that's totally fine. I just don't see anything here, and I wouldn't touch it at all. Long term, sure, Apple is a great company. If you want to invest, sure, but if you want to swing trade or day trade, then I'm not seeing anything here. Let's do this. I don't know what happened to this, but we had a gap down. There was a lot of volume, probably earnings, I don't know. But the good thing is that the bad thing is that we have this gap. So if we go below this level, then we're probably going to fill this entire gap, which is very concerning. But since this was a support level and we actually respected the support level, I'd expect us to now reverse and start going up a little bit. There was also a lot of volume, and you can see that we did go down, but we eventually went back all the way up and we ended pretty nicely. So this is okay. I like it. Let's actually look at the options flow for this. I want to see some, okay. I was going to say I want to see some positive options flow, but I'm not seeing it here. The volume, the open interest, it's all sort of very negative, or at least very low. Let's see, we have 2022 expiries. Let's see, 185. Okay, so probably since we have open interest towards this 185 and 190, slightly longer term, maybe 1 or 2 months, I think we'll move towards 185 and 190 prices. But short term, I'm not seeing any flow that tells me, okay, so we had these huge orders for 2022, but these were all in the money. So again, as you can see that sure, for 2022, this is a weird strike. The stock price is at 170. Why would someone buy a 60 strike? Whenever that happens, just skip that, because you can't really make sense of what's going on. But the other flow, it looks very mixed. So again, no clear setup here, but slightly longer term, I'd expect us to reach 185 or 190 based on the open interest. All right, let's do AMC and BA. So as you all know, AMC rallied quite a lot last week. Let's see if we can draw the line. So we had a support line here. We actually have a resistance line here as well. So since AMC is quite hot these days, especially last week, what you might want to do is you might want to enter right away, or you might want to enter on Monday. So please don't do that, because if you look at the chart here, you can see that we had a resistance level, and we touched that resistance level on Friday and Thursday, but we could not cross it. So since we have not been able to cross that level, there is no bullish setup right now. We might just go back to this level, because this is a support level. You can see here, here, and then here as well. So we might actually go back to this level before we cross this level, or before we start going up again. So short term, there is actually a slightly better bearish setup here than a bullish setup. So just keep that in mind. But I believe I looked at the options flow here, and that is really positive. You can see that the calls open interest is increasing. So maybe short term we do a dip, but I'd still expect another rally here because of this increasing open interest. And another great thing that you'll see is that there is so much open interest towards these 15, 20, 40 strike prices. When that's happening, that just means that people have all these contracts open, and they're expecting the stock price to move towards their strike prices, not reach 40 per se, but at least move towards, let's say, 20, 25, stuff like that. So I'd still expect a rally, but at least wait for that resistance level to cross. 10. Okay, so you see we have this 18 strike, 20 strike. So these are the stock prices that I'd expect us to reach. But since this is a very risky setup and this is a very risky stock, please always do your own due diligence as well. So 12 right now, I'd expect us to reach 18, 19 probably by end August. But since we are right on a resistance level, close to it, at least wait for it to break. All right. Let's do a few bearish ones. We have BABA. Let's do BABA and Zoom. All right, let's do Zoom. So for Zoom, this actually has a good bearish setup right now. All right. So what happened with Zoom was we had this support level, right? This was a support level here, here. Then here we actually broke the support level. And when we do that, what happens is that same level becomes a resistance level. And you can see that just 2 days after that, we actually hit that level again, but we came back down. Why? Because that's a resistance level now. Then we had these two huge rallies. The volume was good, so I like it. But until we actually cross this level and we actually close above this level with some volume, this is actually a really good bearish setup, because now we are right at a resistance level. So I'd expect at least short term for the price to go down from here. And if we break this resistance level, then that would probably be a short-term bullish setup. So let's see what happens on Monday. Keep an eye on this, because this is right on the level. When we have setups that are right on these levels, those are always good setups to keep an eye on. So if we start going just a bit down on Monday, then this is we have a bearish setup here. But if we actually cross it with some volume and stay above it for a little while, then that's a much better bullish setup. Let's quickly look at the options flow. Again, very bad options flow, so I'd lean more towards the bearish setup than the bullish setup. You also see this increasing puts open interest. That also tells you that people are sort of opening more put contracts. All right, let's do BABA as well. So Zoom was bearish mostly on the price action and options flow side. BABA, we actually very similar. I believe we had a support line here, which we actually broke. We can see that we broke this line, this. So we were expecting this line for over a year, but we actually finally broke it. And look at the volume. So look at the volume on this candle. Whenever there is high volume, that just means that the selling pressure is very high. So whenever there is high volume on red candles, that means selling pressure is high. So again, not a good setup. I'm very bearish here, at least for right now. Let's see how the options flow is looking. Again, very bearish. So puts open interest is increasing. I like that. The volume was pretty high as well, so I like that too. Let's see, we do have some 220, 210. We're already here, so we might actually start to sort of form another support around the 200 level, and then maybe we start going up again. So look for a setup from 210 to about 200 before we probably make a reversal. Again, everything is almost right. So you can see all these 210, 210. 210, we have 140, 210, 200. So yeah, so I wouldn't expect us to actually go below 200. We'll probably form a support around that area, and then we'll hopefully move back up. So where is 200? So somewhere around here actually. All right. Yep, and you can see that this is a support level as well. See, this is a support level as well. All right. So this was just sort of going through the top bullish and bearish flow and then coupling that with price action. Let's see if we can find something else. AMC, we just looked at AMC, Baba, yes, we did that. I'd like to look at airlines and cruise lines because I think there is a setup there. So we can see that. Let's anchor the vwap from the rally here. So I think 80 was the level. So we had a rally here. Let's anchor the vwap from there. You always want to anchor the vwap from different events. That event could be a rally, that event could be earnings, start of the year, or anything like that. Okay, so if we do that, let's say from here, then we can see that right now we are on a on Thursday we were on a support level, and that support acted really well. So this would have been your bullish entry, but we can see that we already had a huge candle. So let's actually now wait for us to break this candle. But if we do that, then this is a really good bullish setup. So I'm long airlines right now because I think we have some recovery plays. But if we go below this, then, and if we actually close below this, then that might be sort of just get out with your stop losses. But I'm hoping we're going to break this resistance line, and then we're going to sort of hopefully go back up. Or if we sort of consolidate between this and this region, then just don't go into a bullish or bearish setup. Wait for either at least this line to cross or this line to cross, because you can see this is a support and this is a resistance. The next resistance is quite far up around at this level, so you'll have some room to buy your calls or buy stocks or whatever. Let's quickly look at the options flow here. Very nice, 0.99. I would like for the open interest to increase, but no. Yeah, AL is not really a good airline, so you always see these huge puts open interests there. Let's see what UL is doing. Again, very high calls to puts, much better. So we have some open interest towards 55. Okay, price is already at 55. We have some towards 60, so I'll expect this to reach at least 60. Let's see, PA. Very nice. So you can see all airlines had a really high calls to puts ratio, which just tells you that the overall people are expecting maybe the sector to go up. But you can see here that the puts OI is increasing, so that's a concerning sign. So that's where you need to spend time doing your DD, because you're looking at all these factors and you only go into a setup when all of these factors match. So for Baba, we saw that we just broke a support. The options flow is really bearish. Puts, let's say open interest is high towards 210 levels. So that you need to find some confidence factors before you actually go in. Let's see, 252. You're at 228. So we have some open interest towards 250 strikes. So slightly longer term, I'd expect us to go there, because then we have this open interest towards all these strikes. But we also have some, but as you can see, we have more open interest, or at least more open interest towards the green candles or towards the higher prices, larger green candles here. So slightly longer term, I'd expect us to sort of grow, but short term, I would still expect us to go up. But the only thing that I don't like is this increasing line. So let's actually quick look at the. All right, let me. So this looks like we are below the moving averages, which is not good. So, and we actually broke a support as well here. So yeah, so this on the price action side, this does not look good until we actually cross this anchored vwap, or we cross these moving averages to the upside. So let's wait before we do that, before we go bullish here. But keep this in your watch list, because there is so much flow coming in, and that's always good to see. So maybe we cross this level, this white line, about 230 level, I believe, and then we go bullish here. Let's see if we can find something else. So nice. So TAL had, we made some puts plays here, and one of our members had about 400% gains just doing puts plays here last week based on live options flow. This very tool. But okay, this looks good. Why? Because you see this long-term support level, we did not actually cross it. So we tried to cross it, but we couldn't, and then we have started to go back up. So this is a reversal play, very short term. I'd play it to the upside. If we break the support level, then I'd again keep playing it to the downside until we reach another support. But I would expect us, let's see, there is this very weak resistance here right on the current price. So hopefully on Monday, or maybe Tuesday, maybe, I don't know how Monday is going to go, but next week I'd expect us to maybe go above this very weak resistance line, and then have a small rally to maybe this point, because you can see that whenever we go down a lot, and when the distance between these moving averages increases, you see we have these rallies and then we go back down again. So just keep that in mind. I'd expect us to have a sort of small rally here, but again, as you can see, the volume was very high, so we can actually break this line again and keep going down. So always play these levels. Don't try to get too smart. These levels are there, the moving averages are there, you just play them, and sort of these provide you good entries, good exits, and that's sort of a very safe way of trading. All right, I want to look at the options flow here. This is negative, but I like this. The calls open interest is actually increasing as compared to the puts open interest. You can see that the puts open interest actually was maximum here, and now it started to decrease. That means that almost all people started selling their contracts here, which is why selling their put contracts here, which is why the open interest has decreased now. So this looks decent to me. I'd expect, yeah, 48. We have some calls towards 80. We have some flow towards 50, 62, 45. So yes, I'd expect this to at least have a short-term rally. So this seems like a good reversal setup. Let's see if we have anything else. PBR. SLV. I've been seeing these SLV calls for a while, so let's see if there is anything there. You can see that the flow is really positive. Let's see what the price action tells us. The price action is right on a resistance, so let's hopefully break it. We also have a trend line support here. Nice. So this is a nice sort of price action. Okay, this is weird. Give me 1 second. You can see that we've also been respecting this trend line. So hopefully, I believe maybe there is a small gap. So maybe we fill it, we come back down, but hopefully we break this line and then we go towards, we are at 25 right now. And since we are seeing some 29 flow, I'd expect us to reach 29 strike price in maybe in 1 or 2 months once we break out of here. So just wait for a breakout before you go in. This looks good actually. All right, let's see if we have anything else. We have some, okay, look at this. So we had this huge leave, large volume for 1000. So maybe someone is expecting Tesla to reach 1000 by 2023. That seems like a good bet. Well, this is a really good cheaply. So a lot of people are very bullish on whale. So I wouldn't even look at the price action right now because this is 2023. It's only $2. And if the price reaches 25 strike, then that would be an excellent sort of, you'd have a lot of profits if the price actually reaches this price. Then let's see, so someone is actually expecting Baba to go down. That is weird. All right, let's see if we have anything else. So puts for CCJ. So look at this setup again. We have 2 puts actually. Whenever you're seeing a lot of contracts here for the same symbol, and if that symbol is not an index, then that should get your attention. We have some AMD calls. So AMD and BB. Let's do 3 more. AMD, BB, and PLTR, and then we'll end this video. Alright, AMD looks very good. We have this gap. I would expect us to fill this gap. Let's see if we actually did that already or not. So maybe we go down just for a little bit more, but this is actually a berry setup. So although we have these calls, so there is a lot of volume. So maybe this is a good lot of play because these calls are very cheap. But let me. Alright, so see, we have this huge support level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We finally broke it. And now look at what's happening. Now this level has been acting as a resistance. So this is, sure, this is a lot of play, but based on the price action, this is actually a really good bearish play because we do have this 2 gaps here. Maybe we fill those gaps before we start going up again, but right now I'd expect the price to either just open above this line, and then that would mean that we are above this resistance level, which means that it has become a support level now. Or if we start going sort of down again, then that would just be a really good put setup. Let's see how this, okay, this like the net premiums are here are low. We obviously want to see some sort of stuff in millions. We don't have that here. This is good. So the open interest is increasing. We have some flow towards 90, 85, 79, but we also have some towards 70. And then we have some 75, 75, 80, 95, 65, 70, 75. So puts towards 70. So I'd expect us to probably reach 70. Yes, based on this flow, I am seeing some 70 calls here, some 70 puts here, 72 puts here, 75 puts, 75 puts. So maybe we go towards the 70 before we actually start going up again. But short term, this looks bearish to me. Longer term, this is obviously, I'm very bullish on AMD and Nvidia. Let's do two more. So similar to AMC, we had a rally with BB actually just. You can see that we couldn't cross this. So this was a support. Obviously we broke it. Now we couldn't cross it on Friday. So just keep that in mind. We probably will keep going down. If we can actually break it, then we'll start going up again. So just play the levels. And then let's do one last. I believe this is very similar to AMD, where we actually broke this support. I have shares here, so I'm very bullish long term, but short term I don't think this is bullish at all. We had a support level here, we broke it. Look at where we went the next day. Let me actually. So the next day we tried to break it to the upside, we couldn't, then we went down. Then the next day we tried to break it to the upside, we couldn't, then we went down. Then again we tried to break it to the upside, we couldn't. So until we actually break this level, I am very bearish here. I might buy some puts to hedge my shares position. But I'd love for us to break this level, because then I'm actually bullish and I'm buying a few calls. But until we do that, I am actually bearish here. One thing that I really liked here was this green candle. The volume was much larger than what the volume was on these red candles. I always love seeing that. So I actually want us to cross this resistance level now, because the volume has been good on the green candles. Even here, the volume is pretty sort of close to what it was on the red candle. So I like it, but if you want to buy calls, at least wait for this level to break again before you do that. But other than that, I think long term, I'm really bullish here. But short term, puts would be a play if we cannot break this level. If we can, then obviously calls would be the play. And yeah, that would be a market recap. This week, there were no sort of very clear setups. TAL seemed like a really good setup. I might buy I might buy a few calls tomorrow. But other than that, there is nothing really sort of significantly clear in terms of where it can go. We broke supports on so many setups last week. And now, although we had two rallies, we couldn't break those newly formed resistance levels again. So keep that in mind, because now we are below all those levels, and now those levels are going to act as resistance, which means that we might have some more bearish movement in the next few weeks. So just keep that in mind. Overall, I am slightly bearish in the market based on the setups that we just went through. I'll try to buy more puts than calls these days. But still, if you see that Monday starts and we break all these levels to the upside, and now these become support levels again, then that's good. Then I'd start sort of doing calls again. So just flow with the market. Don't sort of get fixated on any setup that you want to go. Like PLTR is my favorite company, but I can't just keep going long and keep buying calls. I have a few leaps for 2023, but when the setup is negative, I need to hedge my positions with puts. So always have sort of an open mind on what you need to buy. Don't be a perma bull or don't be a perma bull or a perma bear. Always have an open mind and be open to ideas from others. So this was just sort of how I go through these stocks, go through options flow, and do my own research. I thought, why not create a video out of this whole experience and sort of let others know how I use the platform that I have developed, because then others will be able to use the platform in a better way. So thank you so much for watching this video. I'll see you guys in some other video. Goodbye. Have a really good week next week, and best of luck with your trading.